Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Energize Delaware Live. My name is Angie Bivens, and I'm an energy advisor with a few of Energize Delaware's residential programs. And thank you so much for tuning in today. So, if you don't know about Energize Delaware, let me first tell you just a little bit about who we are, and then we're going to jump into our topic for today. So, Energize Delaware is a nonprofit organization, and we have over 16 programs all around delivering energy efficiency and renewable energy services to who? Delawareans. So, if you haven't guessed on today, our topic will be about some energy efficiency, but we're going to be talking about clean vehicles and how they can be affordable. But again, right before we get into that topic, I just want to say that if this is your first time again, or if you're looking for any other services outside of the topic today, then feel free. You can always find information about our programs on our website at www.energizedelaware.org, or you can always give us a call on our toll-free number, 877-524-1339. All right, now the fun stuff's out of the way. Let's get to the good stuff. So on today, I am not alone, but I am joined by the amazing Breanne from DNREC. And Breanne is actually the Clean Transportation Planner. Good afternoon, Breanne, and thanks for joining.
Hey, Angie, happy almost Earth Day. It's tomorrow, so it's a good time to talk about green stuff.
You are definitely right about that. And your topic is one of those green topics that I know I have been looking forward to hearing about all year. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and cue up your presentation, and the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Sounds good. So thanks for having me on today, and thanks for whoever's on the call now or on the live. Thanks for joining us. So I don't know that I'm going to be as much fun as you and Athena had in the rain a few weeks ago, Angie, but I did want to take this opportunity to not only kind of talk about the rebates that the state has for electric and plug-in vehicles and charging stations, but I also wanted to touch on a few other things that the state is working on to help meet the goals of the state's climate action plan as it does relate to electric vehicles and charging. So why electric vehicles, right? The EPA does an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions every couple of years, and they're always a little bit behind just because it's a lot of information to gather. But the transportation sector is kind of still holding true from past inventories that the transportation sector is the largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, and the transportation sector makes up the planes and trains and automobiles, but also off-road vehicles like farm and construction equipment, forklifts, and things like that. And of that 27%, of that pie chart there, light-duty passenger vehicles make up the majority of it. And so of those gases, of those greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide makes up a huge portion, which has a negative effect on human health, particularly on the cardiovascular and respiratory systems. So electric vehicles have no tailpipe emissions, which is why we're pushing the electric vehicles. So there are no tailpipe emissions, and it's certainly going to help no tailpipe emissions, the cleaner the air, right? So the more electric vehicles on the road that we have will help lower those percentages and those numbers and make a change there. So switching to electric vehicles from gas and diesel can be really a big change for people. It's not only a change in the type of way they're driving, but it's also kind of a behavior change too, right? And so EV drivers will certainly save money on maintenance costs. There is no more oil changes. There's little maintenance because there's little moving parts to an electric vehicle. Trips to the gas station in the dead cold of winter will kind of become no more, or so you hope. And then they're super fun to drive, and they actually, they help fight against climate change. So it's a win-win there. But if you're not quite sure, you're not quite there yet with electric vehicles, there are other fuel efficient and cleaner vehicles, which are both conventional hybrids and plug-in hybrid vehicles. Both of these vehicles do have batteries, but with plug-in hybrid vehicles, drivers have the option to solely run on electricity before running out of juice and having to switch over to the gas part of things. Conventional hybrids, the electric motor helps it at like super slow speeds in idling, but it doesn't give the driver a whole lot of control over what is being used, whether the electric or the gas there. So to kind of help with the change of people wanting to maybe consider switching over to electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids, the state does have a rebate program for those two types of cars. So fully electric vehicles receive a $2,500 rebate and plug-in hybrids receive $1,000. Both have a price threshold of $60,000 total vehicle price, and applications are due within 90 days of the vehicle's purchase or lease. At the bottom of the website there is, or at the bottom of your screen is the website, and that'll take you to the rebate page there to learn how to apply for the rebate. So on that page, you're going to find all the details. Over on the right-hand side here where these blue buttons are, you can find answers to your questions, eligibility guidelines, and a step-by-step guide on how to apply for the rebate. But on the bottom of the page, it actually kind of gives you a step-by-step on what to do. So the first things first is you have to register as a supplier with the state. And this is the only way that the state system can actually issue payments. So it's a must. But because that system was written more for businesses, it can be a little confusing to just individual people who purchased an electric vehicle. So we've put a PDF guide there and an instructional video to help you with people with assistance and whatnot. So once that part is complete, you fill out the rebate application, provide proof of Delaware residency or operation, and a copy of the vehicle's bill of sale and lease agreement. And then the wait period to receive your rebate is about 8 to 10 weeks. We also work with several dealerships in the state who can actually apply the rebate at the point of sale, which helps lower the vehicle's cost right up front without actually having to apply for it after the fact, which is very helpful to make that, just a little bit easier for you on the financial side. So we also know that not everybody has the ability to charge at home. So we try and provide programs that will help with that, such as like workplace charging, so people can charge maybe at work as opposed to home, or rebates for property owners and condo associations for them to install charging for their tenants. I'm not going to go through every detail here, but we provide either 75% or 90% of the cost of the station, depending on your business status. It's important to note, though, that we don't rebate on the installation cost of the station. We only rebate on the cost of the stations themselves. And again, that website will direct you to the charging station page. So we have a rebate program and it's well utilized, but we still need charging stations around the state. And one thing that we were trying to figure out was, what do we need and where do we need it? So DelDOT and DNREC got together at the beginning of the year, and we contracted with AECom to put together a statewide EV infrastructure plan that will tell us where stations will be best placed and which type. The plan will certainly be a little bit more in depth, but for the sake of time, I'll kind of move on. But there will be plenty of opportunities later on in the year for the public engagement part of things. So Delaware residents and businesses can certainly give their comments and thoughts and be a part of that planning process. So I highly encourage that. So one of the big questions that I get right now is, we know you're getting this federal funding, and how can I get a hold of it? And it's not quite that easy. So I kind of want to give a little bit of an overview of what the bipartisan infrastructure law is that the Biden administration passed this past November. This law is intended to rebuild or build infrastructure in the country. And this can include rebuilding roads, bridges, and railways. It's going to include access to drinking water, access to high-speed internet for everyone here in the United States, tackling climate change programs, and advancing environmental justice programs. A lot of these funds, though, are going to come through the U.S. Department of Transportation. And so you can see here on the slide, there's a lot of dollars coming through the Department of Transportation. And under the Department of Transportation, you have all of these offices. And then most of the funds are going to come through the Federal Highway Administration and then through the states DOTs. So for our case, DOT. of that program, there's a $5 billion set aside for a program called the National Electric Vehicle Formula Program. So that program is strictly for a national network of EV charging, and each state, depending on their I think it was based on census information, will receive a portion of that. So we're going to really talk about what that means for the state and how it has to be used. And it's not necessarily the state gets all this money and it's just raining down from heavens. So Delaware will receive a little more than 2.6 million a year for the next 5 years for EV charging. And this is strictly for DC fast charging, or more people are maybe more familiar with the Tesla superchargers. But this has the same type of charging. It's just not specific to Tesla. There's going to be an 80-20 cost share, but there are specific requirements that the state must meet to receive these funds. So first, we have to show the federal government how we're going to use the funds. So we have to come up with a plan, what they call a NEVI plan. And in that plan, we must address things like how are we going to use the funds. We have to address workforce development. We have to address how we're going to engage with the public and our stakeholders. We have to address underserved communities and a few other things that I can't really think of right now. But there's a lot that we have to address, and there's a lot that's going into that. So again, there's going to be some public opportunity there or some engagement opportunities for the public to really give their input. So once we get those funds, we actually can only use the funds to build out our fuel corridors, or what we call EV ready or EV pending designated corridors with these fast charging stations. Once the Federal Highways Administration declares that our state has been built out, we can then use those funds for other public charging needs. So community-based type needs, more public type roads, not the travel corridors. So, sorry about that. So in Delaware, our designated corridors are routes 113, 113, and 995. And so that these stations that are to be installed along the corridors have specific requirements that must be met in order for us to be considered fully built out. So where the red dots are on that map, those are current DC fast charging stations that we have, but all but one do not meet the requirements. So the funds are expected to be spent on new stations that meet the minimums there that you can see, or upgrades to current stations that we have. So it'll probably take us a couple of funding rounds to get the state fully built out. And as a side note, I just closed an RFP that has 1.4 million in grant funding using our Volkswagen mitigation funds. And I got a little over 30 applications. So we're really excited to see some new projects and some more fast charging stations coming before even any of this NEVI stuff. So more charging stations are coming, and which is going to help drivers feel more comfortable switching to EVs if that's something they're, of course, interested in. But they'll know that they have more charging options, and it'll kind of help alleviate some of the range anxiety that folks might still have. So a couple of resources I just wanted to share. If you wanted to know more about the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law or NEVI, these two bottom websites, the Federal Highway Administration or what we call the Joint Office, is a great place to go to get more details about both things. Of course, as it relates to transportation, you'd have to go to other sites, the energy sites and things, to find out more information about other programs. The Alternative Fuels Data Center is also a really great place to go for tools and information about electric vehicles, fuel economy, total cost of ownerships, what you're really saving, those kinds of things. And I tell everyone, if anyone is really ever asking me about the types of EVs out there and what the best one is, I always send them to this list, this EV info list. If it tells you everything that everything EV, all EVs available, all plug-in hybrids that are available right now, their cost, their range, how much federal tax credit is still left on them, safety ratings, and it probably gives you things that you didn't even know that you needed to know. It's on there. So I know that I went through like a bunch of stuff in a short amount of time, but I'm really excited about all the things that are coming down the pipeline to advanced EV adoption here in the state. So I'm going to open it up for questions, but Angie, thanks a lot for having me on today. And for the audience there, this is my contact information. If you guys want to reach out, you have any further questions about what's going on, or want to keep in contact with us and know when we're going to have these public engagement opportunities, you can reach out to me and I'll try to get you some information on when that's happening. We don't have any dates set or anything yet, but we are definitely working on that, working through some stuff, because that plan's due by August 1st. So that's really not a lot of time. Otherwise, I'm going to kick it back to you, Angie, and see if there's questions, or if you have questions. Or
Well, first and foremost, let me again say thank you, Breanne, for always being this wealth of knowledge and giving this information. I truly did not know about all the infrastructure bill and the plans to use that. And I'm so glad to hear it. I'm actually, I always have to give the audience too much information, but I'm actually thinking of getting an EV myself. So, all this information is helping me to weigh in on, whether this is going to be a good option for me or not. And of course it is a good option. So, but I am going to get you, just in case we had a few viewers that popped in a little late, I am going to get you to repeat just a little bit of the information about the clean vehicle rebate. So I'm just going to ask you some questions around that, if that's okay.
Yep.
So first question, and I know you talked about these things, but again, to anybody who missed it, listen up real quick. So what type of vehicles are applicable under the clean vehicle rebate?
It is going to be for fully electric vehicles and like that must go 55 miles per hour or more. It's not for low speed electric vehicles, or what they call neighborhood electric vehicles, golf carts and the things. So full passenger vehicles, fully electric, and plug-in hybrids. So we have a list on our website, but sometimes a new model sneaks out and I don't know about it. I do try to keep up with that just so I'm in the know. But if it plugs in and that total cost is underneath $60,000 and you bought it within the last 90 days, chances are it's going to qualify, and you're a Delaware resident or business. When in doubt, always reach out to us. We're always more than happy to review applications ahead of time just to see if the vehicle qualifies. Just instead of having to go through all the hoops and hurdles just to get a disappointing answer, we would rather people ask us first. So.
Well, thank you for that. And that makes good sense. Look, you'll get a few calls from people like, I think I'm about to get me a boat. Does that count?
When they start making them again, yes.
Valid point.
That's right.
Now, how much will they receive through this rebate?
If it is a fully electric, no gas included, $2,500 is the rebate. And for a plug-in hybrid, it's $1,000.
Nice. And then the last question, which is the biggest and most important. So if they purchased or are about to purchase, how do they apply to get this rebate?
So I think everyone can see the website down at the bottom of the screen with the phone number. So go to the website, de.gov/clean transportation. You'll find a button on there that says clean cars, and it'll lay out everything that you need to do literally it says step 1, 2, 3, and 4 to show you exactly what you need to do. And there's also a step-by-step guide there that walks you through the entire process. When in doubt, give us a call and we'll be more than happy to help you.
And one thing that I learned that I now love also in your presentation, so there are even certain car dealerships that work along with you. So and did I hear you say correctly that they will take off the rebate beforehand if you work with them?
Correct. So if you go in and find a vehicle that's available and qualifying, they will put the rebate on at the point of sale, and then the dealership just sends in an application with the information and they get reimbursed for that. But it is a lot easier It's a lot easier for the customer to pay a lower cost up front, and then they don't have to worry about all the extra paperwork.
I'm loving that part. I like it when the coupon comes at the point of sale.
And the best part is it keeps the business in Delaware. So that's even better.
All right, Delawareans, you have heard it here. If you were thinking of getting a clean vehicle, here's a way to get a portion of your money back or get that price lower on this vehicle. So right. I'm loving it. Before I begin to close out, was there anything else that you wanted to share with our viewers on today?
No, I think they've gotten a lot of information from me, but if there was any part of any of that you wanted more information on or weren't clear on or any of it, just, call our office. We'll be more than happy to help.
That is absolutely correct. All right. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. I do want to mention before we close out, Breanne actually said it a moment ago. For the viewers that don't know, tomorrow is Earth Day. And at Energize Delaware, we wanted to really celebrate and highlight Earth Day this year. So if you didn't get enough of me today, tune back in tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Special Earth Day Live. Not only am I going to be from a remote location, one of our own Delaware state parks. I'm so excited. I'm going to wait and reveal it tomorrow. But along with that, I will also be announcing the winners of our free home energy assessment. We're going to have 2 winners of that, as well as 2 winners of our Earth Day coloring contest. You do not want to miss this. These kids did an amazing job on these pictures, and I got to find something great to do with them. So tomorrow, I'll be showing those off along with the winners, and we'll also talk about some great tips to preserve this amazing Earth we have. So hopefully you learned something new on today about clean vehicles and about the rebate program that is offered through our very own DNREC here in the state. Or now you're thinking of going out and getting one yourself, I hope. So either way, thank you for tuning in. Please take note of what you've learned on today. Tune back in tomorrow at 2 p.m. and learn some more. See some great pictures while you're at it. Little art for everybody. And thank you again to Breanne for joining us and for everyone over at DNREC for all they do. We appreciate you guys on today. So with that being said, to my audience, thanks again and tune back in tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you all then. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.